Hello, and welcome to You Are the Magic podcast. My name is Kylie James, and I am your host. I am so truly honored to be speaking to the most beautiful lady today, Tonja Mills. Tonya is all the way over in the UK, and we met, gosh, it's got to be, I'm thinking about 3 years ago now, or maybe even a little bit more, but I'm sure that will come out in our conversation. But Tonya was one of the first people that really opened up or helped me open up from a spiritual side. So I'm just so deeply honored to talk to her today. Hi, Tonya, how are you?
Hi, Kylie. Oh, I am delighted and very honored to be here. And I'm very excited for this conversation because I know that we always have the best conversations. So I'm excited. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we do. They kind of all go everywhere, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So for our listeners, as I mentioned, Tonya is over in the UK, down the south of the UK. Did you want to share a little bit
Yeah.
about like who you are and what you do and where you're based?
Yeah. I'm in the south of the UK in Devon, and I actually live really close to the sea, which is amazing. Yeah, I'm an intuitive coach for women on the rise. So I particularly help women who have felt stuck, who are ready to expand, to go higher, and to really change their beliefs, tap into the infinite possibilities that are available to us all. So that's my mission, is to kind of help wake up and support women to step into massive abundance in their life and really love their life. That's it really. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And obviously, having experience working with you, I know exactly how beautiful this work is. What what made you get into this? Like what was the thing that started it all? Or was there
Uh,
maybe there wasn't one thing, maybe there was a whole bunch of things.
yeah, there was. I mean, this is quite a long answer. Are you up for
Yeah.
that?
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, so I was a very intuitive child, and I was intuitive all the way through my teens, my early 20s, and then I had my children, and I kind of shut off, not my intuition, but I shut off the more magical, spiritual part of my life in order to, just get things done in the human realms, and yeah. And then I became quite ill. I had, like, I was really hurting all over my body, my back, my hips. And I went to the doctor, and it was quite surreal, actually. He told me, he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "I'm really sorry to tell you, within 2 years, you won't be able to walk. You'll be in a wheelchair." And I look back now, and it really was bizarre because he had no scans, he'd done no tests, nothing. And he just said that to me. And I remember thinking, I don't think that's my story, actually. So he sent me to go to the hospital, and I ignored it. And I instead went to see a healer. And this is how it all really began, is he opened me up, he cracked me open, and I started to receive all of this energy, this information. I was bombarded. It's like I opened the doors that had been shut for quite a long time. I opened them, and then all of these spirits, these angels, these guides were coming in, and it was quite overwhelming. And I joke that I didn't sleep for 2 years, but it's practically true. Like, I was all the time, they were coming in my dreams. I was really, it was a lot. So, and my healer, he kept saying to me, you have to train to be a healer. And I kept resisting because I was like, oh, I really don't want to, I'm not sure about that. But in the end, it chose me. I had to do it because I had no option. So it's when I started to train and I started to set up energetic boundaries, I started to understand it more, that then everything began to flow. And then, yeah, then I just kind of like worked on it more. I trained more and more. I started to really get in deep with it. and started to practice with clients. And that's kind of how I started, is through my own healing. I then started to help and heal others. So yeah, it's been quite a journey.
Absolutely. I've just got goosebumps all
Ooh,
over, to be
yeah.
honest. It's just, that's such an amazing story because I guess the whole theme of this podcast is you are the magic. And that's exactly what you were just saying is it was
Mm.
all inside of you. It was just shut off. It was, you had to be a human in a human world, knowing that there was all this other stuff, but it just wasn't your priority at that time. And then
Yeah.
your body forced you to essentially open back up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It brought me to my knees, quite literally.
Yeah.
And so I had to listen, I had to stop, and I had to, reroute my life actually, to align with my gifts that were bursting through me. So I had to listen. And yeah, so the magic was within me, and it wasn't in, some doctor, some hospital. It was within me, and I was unwell because I wasn't listening to myself. As soon as I started to listen, my body started to heal. And it really was that simple, actually. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what did, because, I guess some of the listeners might be saying, well, like, what what happened? Like, what did people around you say? You went from almost being in a wheelchair to, I mean, today you function beautifully. I know you do a lot of swimming, you're quite
Yeah.
active, you do a lot of hiking and traveling. It's like that part of your life is just it it doesn't, it's not that it didn't exist anymore, it's just, yeah. What did people around you sort of say as you went on this
Yeah.
journey?
I think people weren't surprised because that part of my life was almost so obviously out of alignment with who
Mm.
I am. And actually, in some ways, it was like I was the last person to know. Because I had been very intuitive beforehand. And that's really, most people knew me to be pretty kind of awake. And yeah, so being sort of full on and not listening was not really what people expected of me. So it was a strange sort of time when people were just sort of surprised, really, that I was so immersed in motherhood that I wasn't listening to my own gifts. So when I kind of tuned in and opened up, then everything kind of fell into place. And yeah, so it was like a weird blip of time when it was almost like the universe sent me this huge, big, whopping message of, come on now, will you please listen and, take notice of what's really, really going on here? Yeah. So I quickly began to heal by listening to my body, listening to my intuition, tuning into what foods I needed to eat more of, less of, and just began the healing journey, and began to get really fully wide awake. And, most of my friends were really inspired and delighted, and wanted a moment by moment account of all of the magical happenings that were going on in my world, because we were all blown away. It was like, whoa, what next? This is, most people were totally fascinated. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it absolutely fascinates me, and I know, some of the experiences that we've had. Like,
Mm.
I think we've even gone, whoa, that was pretty special, and when all the different worlds collide and the different realms collide together, it really does show what magic is out there in the world. It's just, and what can happen, and yeah. So, what can you tell us a little bit more about, I guess, what you actually do? Because uh, I know, but what does spiritual healing kind of mean?
Yeah. So good question. It's It's bringing you back to yourself, in essence. It's bringing you back to your truth, bringing you back to your magic. It's what I do is I help people to let go of what they're not and remember what they really are. So, as we've talked about a lot, Kylie, there's so much conditioning of being a good girl, or complying with the rules, fitting in, being nice, putting others before yourself, keeping quiet, um, all of those things that package us up into quite a small little tight box. And, really, we're designed to be very expressive, expansive. We are designed to be in joy. That's what the human experience is supposed to be like, is joyful. But all the human things that come in, and the obstacles that are just obstacles and we can get over. But because of society, quite often these obstacles seem insurmountable to people, and then they get heavy with feeling very burdened by, themselves, their body, what's going on around, everything in the world. It feels like we can't get out of this, but we can. We really, really can. And it's so what I do with my clients is I help them to tap into the frequency of limitless possibilities, of 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 their soul calling, of the magic that is within them, by releasing all of these really, heavy constraints and remembering. And so it's a mixture of past life regression, connecting with soul guides, a lot of hypnosis work, remembering, rewiring the mind. There's a whole kind of plethora of tools that I use to bring each and every one of my clients into that space of knowing that they're here for more, and like knowing that more is actually available. It's not just a fantasy, it's not just for other people, it's here for us all. And once we start to really know that and believe it and trust ourselves, everything changes.
Yeah, it sure does. I think you know, for me, I love this whole idea of remembering because our souls are, can be quite old. We can have, we can be quite young and new as well. But, if you're an old soul, there is so much depth, wisdom,
Yeah.
knowledge that we don't even know we have. And to remember all of that and to then figure out how you can bring that into the now
Yeah.
and tap into it is just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating how once we kind of tap into the depth of our soul, like you were just saying, and kind of bring it forwards into this lifetime and really remember, we become like the embodiment of that wisdom, that power. We're more than just, ourselves in this human experience right now. We've got like this whole massive, extraordinary depth to us that we're so conditioned into not tapping into it, not remembering. But once we do, it's like once you go there, you can't ever undo it. It's you remember. And so it's part of you, it's part of your everyday experience, it's part of your every decision. You feel this different sense of being, and a different sense of power within yourself, actually, which is just phenomenal. It's life changing to be tapped into who you really are, I think. Yeah.
And it changes the way you trust yourself. I think that's,
Yeah.
that's the other big thing. It's all of a sudden you trust yourself in different ways to what you did before.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
And you trust the process,
Mhm.
like sometimes the universe will bring us a bit of a curveball. And if we don't feel supported, if we're not in trust, if we feel very, separate and lonely, then we can be really flawed by that. But if we look at every curveball that comes along, like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. I wonder what's coming after this then? I wonder where the universe is taking me. So it's more of a sort of sense of excitement and curiosity when the universe brings us something we weren't expecting, even if it's something unpleasant. We look at it through a different lens, and it is kind of like the lens of, oh, okay, let's see where this goes. So it's a whole different way of experiencing life, really, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mm.
And I just remember when I first started doing the work with you, it was like, what is going on? Like, I don't know what to do with some of these experiences that have happened or that all of a sudden you're remembering.
Mm.
And then you have another one, and then another one, and then another, and you're like, oh, okay, this is actually not like it's not normal, but it's also not weird. If that kind of I don't know how
Yeah.
else to kind of explain it. It's just that we don't talk about this
No,
a
no.
lot.
And, and yet it's our truth.
Yeah.
Like we open the doors to our truth. And then what we do is we live a different kind of experience in this lifetime, an experience that's much deeper, richer, fuller, more fulfilling, more aligned. We can follow the joy more because, like you say, you trust yourself. So, you're being led by your intuition so much more than just doing the same things as everyone else. You're like, oh, I'm going to take this unusual route because I'm really following that feeling of excitement, and I'm prepared to take a different path and trust it. So yeah, and you're right, every experience builds on the last. And so you have one wild bizarre experience and it's like, whoa, that was a lot. But then when they keep on coming, you realize that the odd thing, or the odd experience, is the one we're living right now. It's not the ones that we've lived before. So it's like we've forgotten, we come in and we forget, and we're here to experience all of the all of the richness of being human, and we forget how much depth and power and insights that we actually have right at our fingertips, because we're designed to forget. But
Yeah.
it's when we start to remember, it's like everything shifts.
Yeah.
Everything kind of we come into the fullness of ourselves. And I talk a lot about people coming into the fullest expression of themselves. And this is it, really, isn't it? It's when we speak up, we express, we go off on a different path, we do something, wild or wonderful that nobody else was expecting. We can do that and we can trust that because we trust ourselves. Yeah.
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 Is there a memorable, whether it be an experience that you've had yourself or, something that you've taken your clients through? Is there a memorable thing that has just kind of blown you away, given that you've seen so much, that perhaps you would share, like obviously not including names or anything? Is there anything,
Mm.
just so people can kind of get an understanding of what we're talking about?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things I could uh, bring forward, but one of the very first things that happened to me, this is when I'm in my waking up stage and everything is coming in all the time. It's like it's wild. I've got two experiences actually, just to sort of give you an example of what was going on. One is that my daughter's teacher lost her husband, and he started to come through to me, and I didn't really know this teacher, and he actually came through, was coming through, and I was just like, I really can't. I can't face going to speak to the teacher and talk about you. I just can't do it because I don't know her. I don't know how she's going to react to this. Anyway, we had these ongoing conversations, and he kept saying, please, And in the end, what he said is, oh, it's her birthday coming up, and I would love you to make the cake that I always made for her. And so I did. I wrote down this recipe and I made her the cake, because then she would have known categorically that, I wasn't some weirdo. I was having, it was true. It was really true. so so that was one experience that was really memorable in kind of letting me know that this was a truth, that I'm not making this up. This isn't a load of BS. It's for real. I mean, the cake was a bizarre cake. It wasn't a regular cake. And, the whole thing was like, oh, like, it's almost like this has gone in my bank of evidence that this is for real.
She must
Another
have
experience.
felt incredible. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was quite odd because
Gosh.
I hardly knew her. So she was quite moved, I think, by that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
quite something.
Yeah. What a
Um,
gift.
yeah, yeah. It felt very uncomfortable, I have to say, really, really uncomfortable. And another thing was that I met this woman in a group, and again, we just sort of said hello. And that night, I couldn't stop thinking about her. And a message kept coming through: you must speak to this woman. You must speak to her. And I was like, but what about? Just speak to her. Anyway, so I spoke to this woman. I said, look, I keep getting this message to speak with you. I've no idea what about. And she was, oh, how exciting. And we began to explore things together. And she came to my house. We did some healing. This was really at the very early stages. And I got messages for her from a relative that had been missing, and was able to tell her where this relative was.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really quite something. So there have been quite a lot of experiences where I know for sure that things are for real and that I'm not imagining it or making it up. And I've also had, huge experiences with angels, light beings coming down and, bringing so much information for another person that it couldn't possibly not be right. It was so true, so aligned. So I've had a lot of these really big experiences for me, but also really big experiences for the person receiving. And yeah, there's just been a huge amount of those kind of things that have made me stop in my tracks and just be like, oh, this is definite. This is
Yeah.
definite. So that's been yeah. But in terms of taking my clients, because none of those were client experiences, but in terms of taking my clients on journeys and awakenings, a lot of what I do, I take people back or sometimes forwards to lifetimes where they are really, really in their power. And when they remember their power, and they remember like how they felt, how they really were received in the world, how confident they were. There's something in that transmission that is so strong that they never forget it. There's something in it that is not just like words or even energy. It's such a deep remembering that they always then hold it. And that happens quite a lot to people, or that very significant events in past lives that make a huge amount of sense in this lifetime. For example, another thing that I do quite a lot of, just spontaneous, is going back to times when we were hurt, maimed, in fear for speaking up and being seen and being heard. This comes through a huge amount, sometimes called the witch wound. So I do a lot with that. And it really does set people free to speak up, voice, find their voice, be seen, be open and vulnerable, and just be everything that they wanted to be in this lifetime, but they were too afraid to fully express it. So that's something that comes through a lot, is that fear of, people will leave me, hate me, kill me, all of those things. I won't belong. I can't risk it. We cut the cords, the energies from those lifetimes so that people can stand forward and really, step into the fullness
Yeah.
of this experience and say what they need to say in this lifetime and inspire others to do the same. So that's part of this as well, is like the ripples that go through, from when a person is fully in their power, we know it's so inspiring. It's so, like awesome that we can't help but take notice and be delighted for them, and also kind of seek the power within ourselves, because we also want that feeling of being unstoppable and being fully confident. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
So it's that, and it's those ripples that go through, down through generations and, everywhere, that people are inspired, and other people take braver action. When we are in our power, other people are also stepping up a bit. So it's amazing the ripples that happen when we stand in our confidence.
Absolutely. I think it's uh, having experienced it, it's absolutely magical. And I guess, if we just talk about one of the experiences that you and I had, and it was, uh, I, it was one of the probably, well, there were a couple of pivotal moments, but one of them was a soul journey that
Mm.
we went on. And I say we went on because obviously you and I were kind of going on that together.
Yeah.
Um, and I went back to where my soul actually originally came from.
Mm.
And it was probably one of the most magical experiences I've had. And I share that with people. And some people kind of look at me and go, what? Huh? And then other people are like, oh my gosh, this is just so cool. And it was where I found out that, that soul is a fairy.
Yeah.
Now, whether you believe in fairies or not, that's actually not what the whole concept is about. But what it's enabled me to remember is the adventure, the fun, the courage, the joy, the happiness that I had forgotten,
Mm.
and it's allowed me to bring that back into my world. And it's such a gift to give somebody that, or help someone tap back into that, because if you can carry that forward for the rest of your life and then into future
Mm.
lives, gosh, it's
Yeah.
just beautiful.
Yeah. That's empowerment, isn't it? That feeling deeply of freedom and fun and play. That that's what makes you light up.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's like your signature essence
Yeah,
is based in joy.
yeah,
So now you can, just be in joy. And also, just kind of looping back around to the conditioning part, is that, we could easily think joy is, oh, it's a bit frivolous. It's a bit silly. Yeah, joy won't pay the bills, love. Is
mm,
that, and it's like, well, actually, joy will pay the bills.
yeah,
And also, while I'm at it, I'll be living in joy. My body will be in joy. Everything will feel really good. Like we're quite conditioned to, think of play and pleasure and joy and happiness just as a nice to have if we can squeeze it in at the end on the weekend or something. And it's like actually making it your whole everything,
yeah,
which is what you're doing, is is just the most wonderful gift to yourself and also to others.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And connecting now with wherever your soul started. Do you know what I mean? Like connecting
Yeah.
that and building that bridge, or whatever it might be, and bringing the worlds or the realms together is
Yeah.
actually just a really fun experience. How you can weave all of it in together, and it just starts to make sense. It just feels really, it just feels really soulful and warm and joyful, like you say. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's understanding we're more than what we thought we were,
Yeah.
and more than what we were told we are. So we can let go of all of those feelings of not being enough, or, not being, the right fit for things, or the right, we can let go of all of those conditionings and all of those constraints and just be ourselves, our pure selves. Like, there's
Yeah.
space for that. There's not only space for it, but the world needs us to. The world needs unusual people that are prepared to step into the joy fully. Yeah, now more than ever, we are needed to be in that beautiful energy of limitless possibilities.
Mm.
This is how we change the world, is with love and joy. It's not with thinking, it's with the feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, some of this I know might be pretty overwhelming for some of our listeners to go, oh, well, where do I start? How do I start? What do I do? Is there is there anything that someone could do at home, for example, to maybe start their journey? Like, start small. Like, is there a practice, or
Yeah.
um yeah, I don't know, it's something practical that y- they can dip their toe in the water and kind of see, is this for me? Is this my time right now, or do I need a little bit more exposure or awareness, or whatever it might be?
Yeah. So, something to do at home, I really suggest having a bit of quiet time. Just taking some time for yourself, doing nothing. Like, I don't want to say the word meditation because it puts some people off, but just sitting and being and feeling. And one really great practice, when you're thinking about anything, does it make me feel excited? And, I use this as my compass. So when I come to a decision, does it feel exciting? Because that's your intuitive nudge. If it's exciting, then it's a yes. Your intuition is saying, yeah, go for it. And if it feels a bit heavy, a bit boring, bit like, oh, then it's a no. It's that simple. So if you're listening and you're thinking, well, I don't even know what my intuition is saying, listen to your body. Your body will tell you. You'll have that feeling of, oh, that feels exciting, a bit scary, but exciting. That's a yes. If it's a, oh, then it's a no. So you can start to just listen into the feelings that you have as a way of making your decisions that feel aligned. But nature and time on your own, time and joy is such a gift to yourself. Do what you love to do. And if you're stuck in a job that you don't like, try and bring in as many moments of joy into your life. Whether it's listening to some joyful music, having a little dance in the morning, whether it's listening to affirmations on your way to work, just find little pockets, because these pockets matter. And also, make a habit of things, even if it's 2 minutes, making a habit of something so that you're reinforcing. And one thing I want to say is that hypnosis is incredibly good for rewiring your mind, because we are so programmed to think fearfully. So you have a feeling of, yes, I want to do that, and quick as you like, your mind will be in telling you, actually, no, I can't do that. It'll be too expensive, or, what will people think of me, etc., etc. So it's actually just, don't listen to your mind,
Yeah.
and don't listen to the fears, and retrain your mind, rewire your mind with hypnosis, because hypnosis is speaking to the very core of you, the subconscious mind that has been made up before the age of 7, you have made up your mind about yourself. So you're thinking, oh, I want to do this. Your subconscious mind, well, who do you think you are to do that? Because these are the impressions, the imprints that were pushed into us from a very early age. So undoing that requires us to speak deeply to the subconscious. So yeah, get some hypnosis work, something to listen to while you're deeply relaxing, have quiet time, have nature time, and always use joy as your compass.
Yeah, I love that. They're such beautiful tips and suggestions, and you're so, oh, it's again, I've got goosebumps just when you talk about it because, having brought a lot of those practices into my world, it has made a huge difference. And just in calming your nervous system down as well, um, it 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 just allows. For me, it was like I could breathe again. You
Yeah.
know, and for those listeners who are wondering, maybe they don't know what a feeling is or anything. For me, it was like butterflies in my stomach, and you can tell the difference between joyful butterflies and ones that are like, nah, these aren't the butterflies you want to feel. So it's that kind of stuff. Or it's, if you are sitting out in nature, is there a bird that visits you regularly, or I don't
Yeah.
know, like it's those little things that you just
Mm.
start to notice. So it doesn't have to be big signs of, this is it. This is the thing that's going to tell you to change your life. Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's looking, you're right. It's looking for the little signs, looking for the magic and the miracles in everything. So
Mm.
it's sort of like slowing down and taking a moment to look at the bee going into the flowers, or just watching your dog or whatever, just taking a moment to look at, oh, like the amazement, the wonder that is all around us. So it's taking time, pausing, and almost looking through the lens of love, looking through the lens of like a young child. Just take a moment to be amazed. And this sort of brings us back to love, really, and feeling good, which is always good. Yeah,
Absolutely. And who
yeah,
doesn't want to feel loved at the end of the
exactly.
day? Majority of us, that's actually what we're looking for in life,
Yeah,
happiness and love,
yeah,
or to be loved or to love somebody. Yeah. And
yeah,
it's beautiful when we actually allow ourselves to give and receive it. So, yeah. Oh,
100%.
this has been such a beautiful conversation. I love our conversations, and
Me
love
too.
that, put we haven't scripted any of this. We have just let it go wherever,
Yeah.
we've kind of wanted it to. So I hope for our listeners that you found this really, really interesting and insightful. I have two more questions for you, and one you've probably covered a little bit. But if someone was wanting to take their first step,
Hmm.
um, into, I guess, starting to see what the spiritual side of their life might look like, is there one thing that you would say, do that?
Yeah, I think it is slowing down, listening, and like you just said, looking for the signs. So just being aware that the universe is always giving us signs. It might be repeating numbers. It might be, something, a little message and number plate, or there are always signs. And it's like start to notice, and then you start to see more and more and more. And it's like, wow, the universe has been giving me these all the time and I didn't notice. And it's amazing when we just open up and listen and receive. So, yeah, just opening to receive and notice the signs is a brilliant, brilliant first step, because it brings us into that space of, ooh, like other things are happening that I can't necessarily see. I don't know for sure, but they are coming in. And that's when we can then start kind of weaving more and more magic into our lives.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. That's absolutely
Mm.
beautiful. So where can people find you if they want to know more about you, or even call and have a chat with you about maybe even having a soul experience?
Yeah, thank you, Kylie. You can find me. My website is tonyamills.com. I'm all over socials with my name. So yeah, reach out and say hi. And yeah, if you want to chat, we can definitely have a chat. I'm never into pressurizing anyone to do anything. So it's just easy, free flowing, really. And if it resonates, we can go deeper. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
love that.
also, I want to say that I have quite a lot of free hypnosis. If anybody is interested, I have a free library of audios that are deep and magical and work with your energy and your subconscious mind.
Ah, so good, so good.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I've loved this conversation. I always love catching up with you.
me too.
Um, to our listeners, I hope you've gotten, just so much joy and happiness and information out of this. And maybe it's even sparked some curiosity around, a different side of you. Um, because when you can tap into it, magic can happen. And at the end of the day, you are the magic. Everything is already inside of you. So from me to you, go out, find your magic, and just start living a beautiful, joyful life if you're not already doing that. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. And thank you, Tonya, for joining us.
Thank you, Kylie.